You're live.
Right. I was actually waiting for Bjorn. Have you seen Bjorn, Robin?
Yeah, he is joining, but he is having some issues, so we'll help him get on the stage. Oh, he's
Okay.
here already. Give us one.
Right. All right. So this is a time to meet our health tech startups, and we have Dr. Khairul Faizi Khalid from Remedy and Adrian Joseph from Biogene Technology and Bjorn Lee from Mindfi that we are waiting for. Let's give him another minute. All right. Okay. Mm, um. All right. Dr. Khairul, can you like unmute yourself and say something? I don't think I have. Okay. Cool.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, your audio works very well. How about Adrian? Can I hear you?
Hi, you can call me
Hello,
AJ if it
Adrian. Can you
helps.
say something for me?
Can you hear me? Test 1, 2, 3.
All right. I think he's having a little bit of a network issue
Can you
there.
hear me?
Yes, thank you so much. This is awesome. So this is Health Tech Startup Panel, and I think this has a great significance because we all have, life-changing impact due to like COVID-19, but health is something that could have a very like different perspective on this one. So I want Dr. Khairul and Adrian, both of you, please explain what. Hey, hi Bjorn. Hello, can you say something
Hi,
for me?
Bjorn.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow,
I
it's
was
been really
just
hard joining
about
this
to
platform.
start. No, no worries. So, from Dr. Khairul, Adrian, and Bjorn in that order, please introduce yourselves and your company and how your solution can be directly or indirectly linked to sustainable development goal. Dr. Khairul, please.
Hello, good evening. My name is Cairo. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet up with all of you this evening. Thank you, AWS, for inviting me to this session. Basically, Remedy has been around for about 10 years coming this year. Essentially, we were blessed throughout the pandemic that whatever we've built for the past 10 years have been put forth to great test. I think we sprung up straight away during the pandemic from the very beginning, which is the screening, when vaccine was nowhere near visibility early on, and then we moved on to not just the screening for COVID-19. We participated in the home quarantine management for the Ministry of Health as well. Eventually, we moved to vaccination program as well for one of the states in Malaysia, I think the biggest state. So technically, back to SDG, if you can see that sustainable health for all for all age groups, as well as the mainstay of COVID-19 pandemics hampering all other health initiatives. So I think we were able to really contribute back to the community during the pandemic. And as one of the AWS team members shared just now, I have to say it's true that the chief innovation officer of and globally is actually the pandemic. I mean, we've got to say thanks. I'm a strong believer in blessing disguise. So if not for the pandemic, we would have not been able to really harness the power of the cloud, the technology that is behind, especially in healthcare, where where everybody else is really on putting things on a halt. Healthcare is the forefront of during the pandemic. I think we were blessed to be able to be really at the forefront of this initiative during the pandemic as well. Back to you, Gina.
Yeah, great. Actually, okay. I think it's me. Okay. Actually, Remedy recently joined Startup Ramp, and I was so thrilled to see your, business is like really like covering broad spectrum. How about you, Adrian? Can you tell us about Biogene's technology?
Thank you, Gina. I just got my startup ramp approval a couple of days back, so I'm probably the baby of the bunch. So thank you, AWS, for doing this session. Biogene's very privileged to be a part of this. We're an interesting company. We're sitting on the back end of the development of the entire healthcare spectrum, but we are revolutioning the way that we create diagnostics. And we are pushing something what we call digital biotechnology. So we are digitalizing the entire process from the way you design a molecule or an antibody using synthetic solutions all the way towards diagnostic options. We actually have three platforms. We call it AppCat. One is to design synthetic antibodies, where we are promoting digital biotechnology, and we train researchers across Malaysia doing that. We have a second platform called AppFab, which synthesizes the molecule, and then we have a sensing platform that creates a diagnostic test. We currently have a library of over 300 molecules, and we're moving it into diagnostic solutions. Now, in relation to SDG, as I was looking back, I think SDG 3 is something Biogenes lives in. Uh, our goal is to provide affordable and accessible solutions to all. And we have work in things like helping women and maternal moms reduce the mortality ratio. One of our inventors, in fact, has a solution, a couple of different solutions along the life cycle of a pregnant mom. So even from doing HPV testing in a less invasive way, and all the way towards testing for at the point of birth. So this I could spend an hour on this SDG alone, but the goal is we want to build an ecosystem because we realize that to enable an SDG as big as healthcare to translate solutions towards and make it accessible for people, you need an ecosystem all the way from development all the way to diagnostics. And so I'll give you one simple example. In Malaysia last year, 2,000 people died of TB. It's a preventable disease, and we think with the way that we are building our diagnostic solutions, we can get our tests into remote areas and even different areas across Southeast Asia quicker, better, and faster. Now, in quality education, we've trained in the last few years over 200 people to use our technologies. We're building micro labs called app labs across the country to enable very similar to 3D maker spaces, but it produces synthetic molecules, so you can actually build a diagnostic kit in these labs. So this is targeted towards supporting local economies and building diagnostic kits for even neglected diseases, things that people normally big farmers don't go after. We want to go after that. And we think with SDG 11, sustainable cities, the pandemic taught us that unchecked disease could wreak havoc across entire continent and entire planet. And we realized that a lot of solutions are very centralized because R&D costs are high, technology costs is high, and the government typically does this. By connecting it via AWS Cloud, we can actually bring solutions to cloud solutions to a point of detection and care, even to at a level of R&D. So we have some labs in the northern part of Malaysia, 600 miles away, and we do collaborative R&D that way. And we develop projects from its infancy all the way towards a clinical trial. So we aim to build self-sufficiency into our distribution ecosystem, so we don't have to depend on everyone else as we build towards, if the next pandemic hits. I think Biogenes is ready to support an entire region. So that's it. We want to strengthen surveillance, public health, and early detection. That's from
That's
Biogenes.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Bjorn, finally with the video, can you introduce yourself and your company
Thank you so
and
much,
how?
Gina. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Very, very flattered to be on this AWS panel and event. My name is Bjorn Lee, and I'm the founder and CEO of MyFi, which is a mental health startup. My journey to getting onto this stage today kind of started 10 years ago. I was going through really high stress levels, right, and poor mental health when I was working in Silicon Valley in California. And I went to see a doctor. Back then, I was running a startup. I was managing teams in Singapore and US. And I started experiencing chest pains, and I thought I was getting a heart attack. But I went to see a doctor, and they steered me towards therapy, and also mindfulness meditation as well. I didn't go to see a therapist, but I picked up meditation initially. And fast forward in 2017 and actually 2018 as well, I started MyFi because I wanted to build a new startup devoted towards promoting mental health in Asia, right? So that's where I started learning about the UN SDGs as well. In fact, our very first investor was a social impact agency here in Singapore, and they gave us a $50,000 grant as well to promote, like our solution for UN SDG 3 and 8 as well. So UN SDG 3, for I think a lot of people here in the audience are very familiar, is about promoting mental health and well-being. And we do that for companies, right? And UN 8.2, SDG 8.2, is about improving economic productivity with technology upgrading, especially for labor intensive sectors as well. So I can talk a bit more later about how we bring our mental health solutions, not just to white collar workers, but also blue collar workers as well on factory floors over 14 countries in Asia, right? So that's what we do from a social impact standpoint. Now, as for the company, we are a mobile app that provides 3 tiers of care inside the app. Everybody has heard a lot about self-care, right? And what that means is that we collect data from you, securitize it in the most private servers, and we are very thankful for AWS because you have provided us support since our start as well about 4 years ago. And we are part of Y Combinator, that's our investor. And then we got another nice package through them, thanks to you as well. So we store all that data, and then we use AI to recommend self-care exercises, anything from like 1 minute breathing exercises to a 5 minute mindfulness practice to say a 10-day therapy program as well, right? Second is that we allow people to book to a 1 hour session to speak with a therapist or coach, and that's also handled within the app as well. They can browse to see which coach or psychologist matches their profile the best, and then again, it's delivered through the app. And last but not least is what makes MyFi the most unique and innovative mental health company right now as well. We are taking a very community approach, a community first approach to mental health. Typically, mental health involves you dialing a phone number, maybe at the end of the workday, in the middle of the night as well, or maybe doing self care, like doing some mindfulness exercises as well. Now, we want to socialize that experience by putting you in a community where you can chat with other people inside the app on a confidential basis, people going through the same things as you, so that you don't feel alone, right? So think of it like a group support network, secure, safe space, and private and confidential inside the app. So that's the 3 parts of what makes MyFi special. But I'm happy to actually share more and learn from all of you as well.
Yeah, this is awesome. Actually, like MindFi is about mental health, and we have Remedy, who is like developing solution for medical record, and Biogenes on medical diagnostic. This is a very broad spectrum industry focus for everyone. But then again, I think it's all like have a very significant impact on how to change our lives. And I could see that Remedy and MindFi is founded in 2017, and Adrian, Biogenes is founded in 2015, which means you were up and running during COVID. I mean, when the COVID started to hit. And I want to know what kind of challenges there were, or whether there was a new opportunity because of the pandemic. How did pandemic affect you? Can you go to the can you go from Bjorn to Dr. Cairo this time? Bjorn, can you share your story during the pandemic?
Sure thing. Remember that very vividly. We started in 2017, so there was I think 2-3 years before mental health was cool. I used to go to investors, we used to speak to companies, and people would be telling us that mental health is not a priority, right? And I tell my story about chest pains all the time in order to actually connect with them because they personally feel that, but their companies may not have the budget. Things kind of start switching in the past couple of years. We were very fortunate that there was a spotlight on mental health in companies now because all across Asia, I think everyone was experiencing a lockdown, right? We had one of our clients, who's an investment bank, and the head of HR was talking about how he traveled from Korea to Hong Kong and was stuck for 3 weeks, not just two, inside the hotels. And then he started using our app and realized that he was able to calm himself down better in the middle of a workday as well. So we started, educating the corporate clients about the importance of mental health in their employee benefits program. Most were skeptical initially, of course. They waited for their employees to tell them through different engagement surveys about how they would like to experience it. There's a lot of tentativeness on both sides initially, but we were able to successfully, package mental health in a way that is positive. We don't just go in with all guns blazing talking about depression and anxiety because that tends to put people off, right? We started talking about positive topics like how can you manage your partner, your housemate, your children better at home? How can you do effective work at home and also effective parenting while working from home? So that was a very powerful topic. A lot of people had difficulty sleeping as well. So we brought in doctors, we brought in psychologists to unpack as well. I remember I did a lot of workshops because in addition to the app, we did a lot of fun workshops, 30 minutes long, where I introduced everybody to how they can learn to breathe mindfully by just using a finger to trace their hand. Every time they go up, they breathe in, they go down, they breathe out. So that was a very effective way. And then we saw a bunch of people, hundreds of people, just going through that. We really educated them about the data as well, because when you invest in any health solution, same thing for Dr. Cairo, Adrian as well, your customers, your users, your patients are very interested to know the effectiveness. So we've been very successful at educating them about the productivity, the well-being, and engagement metrics through our quarterly or monthly reports. And we don't just throw them into an online dashboard and then they go figure out itself. We kind of do a bit of like a management consultant. We analyze their data for them, right? And so that has been really powerful, not just for employees when they use our app, but also for employers when they see our reports.
Yeah, definitely. I am so keen to read that report. How about you, Adrian? Is there any pandemic story from BioGenes?
Yeah, it was a very interesting time for us because initially we were working on a lot of proof of concepts. When the pandemic first hit, very early on, we got to know about a disease called COVID-19. So we were searching for the disease itself. We were looking for some of the proteins to be able to do that. We remember at that time it only came from China, so we were negotiating with China to get some samples. Then we realized that Malaysia doesn't have a lab to grow viruses, so we invested into building a lab. And then when the pandemic hit full force, we realized that we probably need to go digital. And we huddled together as a team and decided to focus on building our digital backend. And that's where we accelerated from having two solutions, two molecules to a library of 300 molecules for different tests. Because we're building it digitally using a computer software, it enabled us to even teach the solution to different people across Malaysia. So as of today, the lessons that we learned in the pandemic helped us to be more lean and scalable. It's also taught us that how something like a pandemic can really just destroy businesses and destroy an entire economy. So we realized that there are easier solutions that we can invest into. Today, because of the lessons we learned in the pandemic, our entire platform is online. So we train people we use Zoom a lot. We're trying to get some physical programs going, but it taught us that this is a key thing moving forward. I think we built an ecosystem of researchers and customers that equally is excited to explore this, because previously we were using a lot of high performance computers and getting people to download software. So only just about a month ago, we're looking at moving into AWS and scaling up our solution so that we can offer more flexibility to our research community. So exciting times. The pandemic really did give us actually a proof of concept of what we were doing and validated a lot of assumptions. So this might sound wrong, but I'm actually thankful for the pandemic because it did help Baijian's kind of scale. In a VC in Singapore called Antler noticed us, and they invested into us during that time. So so the pandemic, there was a bright side to it, and it enabled us at some point to get all the samples ready. We had a lot of samples at one point to be able to run testing and to get to our diagnostic solutions and outcomes quicker and faster. So we did a lot of trials during that period, and all that was enabled because I think I have to thank my team. We came together and figure out how to mobilize this, and we found out that having everything on the cloud and digitally enabled helped us go through this entire space. So we'll be ready for the next pandemic. So looking really excited.
Okay, that is a good news and a bad news, maybe. um, Dr. Khairul, I bet Remedy was like going through a lot of changes as well.
Yeah, I think I'll address your question in 3 points.
Mhm.
Number one, so Remedies, I think foundation is always trying to connect healthcare providers, i.e., doctors, allied health nurses, pharmacists, to patients and the third party. So basically, the healthcare providers, the patients, as well as the last one, which is the healthcare funders, whoever that funds the healthcare benefits. Now, during pandemic, we were able to connect the healthcare providers to the patients, whereby you still remember that there's a lot of home isolation, right? And when we started off in 2017, we were just focusing our strength in clinics. So we have a clinic operating systems for the masses, and we were the first, I think, the startup to put this clinic management system, we call it CMS, on the cloud. So technically, clinics across Malaysia where we have them, running on the cloud, basically we were able to scale up the numbers nationwide fast. So what happened during the pandemic, this learning that we have also enabled us to allow COVID assessment centers to be up and operational, within very, very short limited time. So we were at the epicenter of Malaysia COVID-19 hit. So we were those were in Malaysia, Stadium Melawati, where the number of patients coming to COVID assessment were in the 12,000s in a day. So technically, we were handling that harnessing the power of cloud as well. So were it not to be, years of investment prior that we were putting our infrastructure in the cloud, we would not be able to, scale this up fast. Because if you remember those days, a lot of infrastructure for health, institutions are based on servers on premise. So when the learnings that we learned prior to pandemic, we applied it. So a lot of COVID assessment centers will be able to up and running in a short period of time. That's number one. Now, secondly, the interactions between healthcare providers, i.e., doctors or the team managing patients, as well as specific patients who previously really face to face, right? You've got to come to clinics, but then when pandemic happens, you are in home isolation. The doctors and the team managing you will need to be able to know what's going on in your four walls, and whether or not you need help to be, do I need to send the ambulance to pick you up? Do I need to send doctors to check you up? Are your oxygen saturation deteriorating? So our clinic operating system that we built for clinics, we quickly turn or repurpose this this software into a COVID assessment center where patients can update their daily assessment, and doctors managing them in a certain district will be able to pick up, okay, this is category 3 or 4. I will have to send this ambulance, or they call it rapid response, the RRT, rapid response team, to the particular house or areas. So we were able to again do this with the harness of harnessing the power of cloud as well. So while people are really stuck at home, the whole team of Remedy were really busy looking at data, trying to push forth this to the doctors, making sure that we were proud that we have detected a lot of people deteriorating at home, and this allowed doctors to really deploy appropriate resources to their home or hospitals. The third one I would like to emphasize is that all this work that we do is, if we are not able to harness this big data that comes up from these operations of these healthcare providers, is of no use, right? So since Remedy has invested very, very heavily on the fundamentals of having a connected medical records, we were able to pass anonymized data straight away to our public health team for them to analyze, from the COVID-19 positive testing to home assessment to vaccination as well. So during drive, we were also at the forefront of making sure vaccination initiatives will be able to submit in a timely manner, and those hotspots areas will be able to be tackled accordingly. So those are 3 points I would like to highlight what we have done throughout the pandemic, and what we have learned before the pandemic, and how the pandemic has really ramped up our work during the time.
Thank you so much. I mean, seriously, Robin, you should have given us more time. It was so interesting, and I have so many follow questions, but I'll save them for our networking session. And please, other like founders and investors, if you have any questions, save them for the networking session. I have to actually. Robin is staring at me like forever. So I'll wrap up the session here, but please, 3 speakers, stay until the end of today's session so everybody will ask you questions and everything. Thank you so much, Dr. Khairul, Adrienne, and Bjorn, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Back to you, Robin.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Natalie, Adi, can you guys hear me?
Hi, how's it going? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Nice. Hi, all right. So we are running a little short on time, so I'm gonna try to speed through things as quick as possible, so I give you guys as much airtime. All right. So my name is Johan. I'm a program manager for the APJ Public Sector Startups Program. Today, right now, I'm going to be moderating the EdTech portion, which, in my opinion, obviously not biased here, but I'm going to be featuring some of the most innovative EdTech startups, I think, in the ASEAN region. So please do allow me to welcome Natalie Do, who is the Senior Director of International Expansion from ELSA, as well as Adi Halim, who is the CEO of Aduku, which is from Indonesia. So for this without further ado, let's really just begin by giving these really innovative startups an opportunity to introduce themselves and their solution. I'll first begin with Natalie, which works with ELSA, and they have developed a very innovative edtech solution using artificial intelligence, AI, to coach English in Vietnam and beyond. So, Natalie, can you please introduce ELSA a little bit and tell us a little bit more about this startup?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Johan. So ELSA has been around since 2015. and I've been with the company since 2019, but really knew the CEO from when we first started and been part of the journey since the beginning. So Elsa is an AI-enabled, mobile-first English speaking app. And we started out, noticing that in the market, there's a lot of English centers and people can spend many, many years learning English, and yet they still struggle to speak. A lot of it can go back to the lack of confidence. A lot of it can go back to the lack of practice and lack of access to native teachers. And 2015 was when AI was getting to a point where we feel like speech recognition was getting strong enough. Why can't we actually create an AI product that can help coach people how to speak English confidently and you know as fluently as native speakers? So that's kind of the start of Elsa. Now fast forward 7 years later, we have about 45 million users in over 100 countries. We've also worked with over 600 companies and schools as well, and hundreds of teachers to empower the students and also the employees at companies to speak English better. And I think, we would go a little bit more later into why English and why we think communication and speaking is so important. But I would say that, communication is key, right? Because it goes beyond just um, an English or language command. It's about confidence. It's about how you express yourself. It's really a huge social mobility tool. And yeah, so that's kind of the short snapshot of Elsa.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that, Natalie. As someone who personally also struggled with English at the beginning, I really wish that I had such a solution when I was growing up. But I was one of those people that had to attend one of those centers, But technology has changed that, right? Yeah. All right. Now I'll be moving on to Adi as well as Aduku. So Adi, I know that you guys do a very interesting and innovative school management system by helping digitize efficient and effective teaching and learning processes within schools. So can you share with us a little bit about the current situation with schools and school management in Indonesia and how Eduku helps improve this current processes?
Okay, sure. Hi everyone, it's me Adi from Eduku. So the reason being why I'm creating the Eduku is because like everything here in Indonesia, we are relying heavily on the usage of pen and paper. So teachers, schools, education department, students, they are really relying heavily on the usage of pen and paper. So on a day-to-day basis, all they do is using pen and paper, and mostly in the rural area, they don't have any system at all in place. So what does that cause is that it causes a really huge problem in the education department, because whenever they want to check on something, they have to send external auditors just to make sure that schools are working as regulated and schools or students are performing as they want it to be. So it's really inefficient. So what we are doing right now is we are digitalizing all the education progress here in Indonesia. So starting by providing students and parents with uh, application based that will be able to let them know like the grades, exams, calendars, and so on. So right now, with Eduku, we will be able to integrate all of the data within schools in certain jurisdiction. So, for example, in Indonesia, we have cities like Jakarta, which have more than 1,000 schools, right? So we will be able to, in a real-time manner, we will be able to create a single dashboard that will integrate all of the data within the schools in their jurisdiction only. And then we will be able to visualize it into a beautiful graph, beautiful and easy to understand graph, so that the education department will be able to analyze things like um, which student scores the best, like what is the performance of the school, like what is the year-on-year growth, and so on. So these kind of things, it will help them to further analyze the is the curriculum actually working fine right now? Should we tweak something else? So I think that's the difference that we are doing to Indonesian's education system for now.
Thank you so much for that, Adi. Especially yeah, having that type of potential to be able to create more efficient processes within the Indonesian education system where they just use pen and paper. I can certainly see how that's going to be really effective, which definitely segues into the next point portion, obviously, which is to relate this back to the SDG goals. And I was so humbled and really enjoyed the session by Tuan with the previous panel where he discussed the SDG goals of, particularly education with the target 4 goals that specifically addresses, a quality education by allowing equal access to education, as well as, creating the proper infrastructure, as well as, upskilling of the nations within education. So moving back now to Elsa, I just really wanted to ask you, how do you think Elsa particularly contributes to the SDG goal 4, in regards to quality education and increasing that for all genders as well as, all different types of people?
Yeah, thanks, Johan. I think inclusivity is really really important when you talk about the goal 4, because it's not just about high quality education. It's also about inclusive and equal opportunities for genders, for people from different social economic backgrounds, from different countries. And that's the way we come in, right? Because we believe that English is a global language and it's spoken by people around the world. And in emerging markets, whether somebody speaks good English can actually decide the role that they can play in the economy. Income can increase by 2 or 3 times if you speak good English in certain markets. And this is also actually true in countries where people speak English as a native language as well. I think in the US, if somebody speaks English even just with an accent, they earn up to 30% less, right? So we really think of this, English speaking as a way to unlock somebody's potential and allow them to really widen opportunities and be able to contribute a lot more to the global economy. Now, when we zoom out a little bit and look at schools, look at economies as well, right? The jobs that are most crisis resistant are usually high skill jobs that definitely require a lot more communication. And in this case, if you look at the high tech sector and manufacturing, a lot of these jobs have been a lot more resistant to crisis and even during the pandemic as well. And if you go into these fields, then it's very very critical that people get access to the global knowledge that's written in English, that they're able to express their opinions, that they're able to contribute in by expressing and communicating in English confidently. So that's kind of how we see it, widening opportunities, allowing people to take part in higher tech or more resilient sectors of the economy. And the other part of it is also looking at many countries, Vietnam included, Indonesia included, and many other countries as well, to really play a part in the global stage, right? English education is really important as well, especially communication. And we go beyond just pronunciation. As at the beginning, we focus a lot on pronunciation, and we try to be inclusive by really allowing different accents to shine through. We can actually understand over 100 different accents of people speaking English around the world, and we build that into our engine and give feedback, from our engine. At the same time, now we're going further out even to intonation, to the speed, to pauses, and how you speak in general, how you carrying yourself. And really, it's about upskilling not just individuals, but also industries and countries as well.
That's really so amazing. I especially like that last part about how you guys take into consideration different accents, because I know whenever I use some sort of like, on my iPhone I use the Siri or something, it doesn't pick up my accent sometimes. So yeah, it's interesting. Moving on to Adi now. Adi, what do you think about the SDG goals, especially with SDG target 4, the target 4th goal? Yeah. Hello, Adi, can you hear us?
Hi, yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, can you
Yeah.
repeat that one more time?
Yeah, sure. So, can you also share with us a little bit about how you support the SDG goals of quality education? For example, by upgrading maybe educational facilities and infrastructures.
Yeah, sure. So, talking about infrastructure in Indonesia, I think in Indonesia we have more than 10,000 of islands. We have roughly like 15,000 islands, if I'm not mistaken, and mostly people know Indonesia, Jakarta, Bali, but there are a lot of different places in Indonesia, like a lot of huge provinces. So, amongst the 55 million students in Indonesia, actually more than 40% of them resides outside of Java Island. which then split into Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Sumatra. And at those places, there are some rural area as well. And in Indonesia, not only that we are facing quality education, but we are also facing infrastructure problem. Things like not only that we are facing like internet problems, connections problem, but also for electricity. So sometimes in certain areas, there are certain power shortage on certain electricity area. So those kind of things is really a huge issue in Indonesia because um, by the data, students who are living outside of Jakarta or students who are living outside of Java, actually they have lower chance to actually get into a work compared to people who graduated from Java. So that's the typical stereotype on the education sector itself, because they everyone believe that people in Java have more higher education quality compared to people outside of Java. So aside of being so, with that in mind, what we are trying to do here with Eduku is that we are serving schools in Java, private schools, tier one schools, and also we are serving also schools in rural area in Kalimantan, Sulawesi, and so on. So what we are trying to do here is that the schools that are our clients, we would like to share their contents. So school contents from the tier one schools, we will be able to share the contents to the schools in tier two and tier three schools, or maybe in rural area. So I think with that in mind, students there will be able to know, or they will be able to learn what do they actually learn in Java. So we're trying to not improve only their academic prowess, but there are certain things in Indonesia that we also have to improve their soft skill, because we believe that soft skill in Indonesia, it's really important. It's really crucial because before you're able to get certain good academics, I think you have to have certain soft skill and you have to believe in yourself. I think confidence is what we really need to do. So that's the reason why we are trying to, like inviting people, um, training them with soft skills, like training them like what is it like learning in Java. So we're trying to show them that there is not much difference, and everyone should be having a certain amount of confidence in themselves, so that they will be able to make a decision and, oh, I just want to go to university in Java, and I believe that we are the same. So that's what we are trying to do, building their confidence and building their soft skills.
That is really, really amazing. I think we hear from a lot of our customers in Indonesia as well, really understanding there's that, really huge problem of just lack of access to proper, proper electricity, and internet connectivity can be, sparse at different times. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and for the work that both of you guys do in this space. I'm really sorry. I have so many more questions prepared, but I do not have enough time. And we will have to be moving on into the networking session now, pretty soon. So I really hope that I can still speak to you guys there. I can ask more questions, as well as everyone else, in this room as well. Please ask them lots of other questions as well, and we can continue to explore how EdTech's going to continue to innovate and change in this space. But please give it up for our really cool, innovative EdTechs, Elsa and Aduku. Really thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Johan.
Robin, you want to take over now?
Yes.
Over to you.
Thank you very much, Natalie, Adi, and Johan, for that final panel of the main program. Like Johan already said, we're going to the networking part now of the SDG Innovation Roadshow ASEAN. I will give you a little bit of an explanation on how that works. So, but before I do that, I want to mention that there's going to be 2 more stops of the SDG Innovation Roadshow. The next one is going to be in Japan, most likely on 27th of October. If you liked today, please let us know and join again. If you didn't like today, please let us know why you didn't like it, so we can make a better program next time. So the next edition is going to be with startups from Japan, speakers and experts on sustainability development goals from that region. So make sure to join. And the final one of the year is going to be Oceania. So that's New Zealand and Australia mainly. That's going to be end of November. The exact date will be made available on the event website. So now we want to go to the networking. When we're closing this session, which I will do when I'm stopping to talk, you will see that there's an option in the top of your screen that says networking session or fluid space. Simply click that, and when you do that, you will see a screen very similar to the one that I'm showing you. The way that fluid space works is very simple. You move around with your avatar. So you have a picture of yourself, or if you didn't upload a picture, you should see the letters of your name. And you just go around with your arrows on your keyboard or with your mouse. And when you come close to someone, you will be able to start speaking. That's how it works. If you don't want to speak to that person, you want to go somewhere else, you just move away and you start talking to someone else. So very simple. We'll be doing this till 5 minutes to 6 o'clock. Then we'll switch over to the Investor Connect session. Like Gina and me already introduced, Investor Connect will be exclusive for AWS EdStart and Startup Ramp members. There will be an AMA session with a number of investors that I will introduce then. And after that, there will be speed dating where the startups can meet with the investors in one-to-one sessions. Please, all the speakers that we had today also join in if you like in meeting them. So that's going to be starting at 6 o'clock Singapore time. Adjust for whatever time zone you're in. But we're starting that at 6 o'clock Singapore time here on the same platform. You don't need to do anything. Just stay around here and then you will have access to it. With that, I really want to close off this part of the event for today. I want to thank everyone very, very, very much for making this happen. Obviously, everybody from AWS EdStart and Startup Ramp. So apologies if I forget anybody, but Gina, Johan, Camille, who wasn't here today, but Tuan, Chad, Clara, I think that's everyone. Thank you very much for the hard work in the past couple of weeks and making this happen. As always, my team, Darvish, Rishav, most of all, he's the guy doing all the magic here behind the screens, and Fai. And then, of course, all of the speakers. I'm not going to all name you, but thank you very, very much for supporting this event and joining in here. And finally, of course, all the attendees and participants for today. I hope you enjoyed it. There is one final thing that I need to mention before I close off this session. You can now go to the leaderboard and see where you ended up. There's a few people, because they're co-organizing, that I'm not going to I'm not sure if they're actually going to win. But check the leaderboard if you want to know how you finished in your interaction with the platform. We'll contact you sometime next week on how to follow up on the AWS credits, etc. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much and see most of you around 6 o'clock Singapore time.